Man, I mean, we talked about it, but in the 90's, everybody watched WWE.
I yeah. Oh, their ratings were
Everybody.
insane back then. Like Attitude Era. Yeah,
Yeah.
their
Was
ratings
that
were
was late
killer.
90's, early 2000s, right? Like somewhere around that time.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
was the golden age for me anyway. I mean,
yeah. It was so good. It was so good.
yeah.
You know, that's an era of wrestling where like I don't even want to go back and rewatch it because I don't want to find out that like it doesn't hold up. You know what I mean? I want
Okay,
to just
yeah.
I want it just to live in my memories the way I think it was.
I mean, okay, I think what got me into it was one day I was just flipping channels and I saw Dennis Rodman come out of nowhere and start fighting in a wrestling match. And I was like, what?
Yeah,
The
that was
worm
yeah.
is out here wrestling? Like, I was like, okay, I gotta see this. And from that point, like, I watched the rest of the matches and I was just like, oh, I'm hooked. Like, this is so good.
I mean, that's what sucked about WCW failing is because when they were legit competition, like it did bring out the best in
Yeah.
WWE, WWF back in the day. And just
Hmm.
that those Monday Night Wars, man, they were the best. Like, and
Yeah, you can watch
I would,
one and the other.
yeah, I remember like, um, because even back then, like Lester watched wrestling, and he
Hmm.
liked he was more of a WCW guy. I was more of a WWF guy, but I of course tried to watch everything.
Hmm.
And like, yeah, I remember I I did because like WCW would air like twice in a row, so like I could watch WWF and then switch over and watch WCW, and like yeah, it was
Yeah,
great. It was a great time to be a wrestling fan then. It was
really
just
was.
it was so exciting. They had so many like legit like stars. Like I mean, God, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Shawn
Yeah,
Michaels,
Strong, Bret
Undertaker,
Hart, Undertaker, yeah.
Mick Foley.
Mankind,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Just
Mick
so
Foley.
many like epic people. You know, it
Like,
was
and they
great.
had like their little shticks, like Degeneration X and what was that? The Nation of Domination. They were fun.
Oh, right,
Uh,
right.
they had those two brothers. They're like big black dudes. Like they're from Houston, I think, right? Like I forgot their names, but
Oh, are you talking about Harlem Heat?
yeah, Harlem Heat.
Yeah.
Um,
And then
I mean,
at
I can't
WCW
name them
had
all,
like
but
the NWO.
yeah, NWO was awesome.
That was huge.
Yeah, they were the best ones. Yeah, Scott Steiner and all them.
Oh, right, right.
Yeah. How did that
Ex-
dude fight with a toothpick in his mouth? I'd be so scared.
oh, that was well, that was Scott Hall, but
Scott
like
Hall. Yeah.
I think he would. I think usually he would take it out before he started wrestling. Like he would
Oh,
usually
okay.
like
Okay.
throw it at the other guy or whatnot.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it would be very bad to wrestle with a toothpick in your mouth.
Right.
Although there are some guys with like that'll wrestle with like earrings and piercings and stuff, and that always seemed kind of dangerous to me too. It'd be very easy for them to get caught on something and get ripped out.
Oh, for sure. That's dangerous, man. Um, I remember Rey Mysterio Jr. Like all these people got to be like 50 or 60 by now. Like, man,
Yeah, like yeah. So and some of those guys are still going. Like
are they? That's what I
Ray.
was going to ask you. Like, who's still going?
Yeah, I mean Ray Mysterio.
He
Was
is.
he is yeah yeah. He's got to be in his 50s, I would imagine.
Yeah, I can't believe. So he's still like doing the same stuff he used to do.
Yeah, he does actually. He's still like flying. I'm sure he slowed down a little bit, but he still does a lot of like flips and dives and stuff.
That's impressive. Yeah. Hmm. Whatever happened to that Great Khali? I didn't really watch that period too much, but what did he do? What like did he leave wrestling? Because he was
Yeah.
built for it. I feel like.
Well, he eventually left though. The thing was, he is one of the worst workers that I've ever seen. Like in the business,
Oh,
like
okay.
if you actually watch him wrestle, like he's awful. But like
Oh, he didn't learn anything.
he was so big that he was just such an attraction that they put the belt on him and he got a run and everything. But
Yeah.
if you actually watch his matches, he was terrible.
Oh, okay. So he didn't bother to learn. Okay, that sucks.
Well,
I remember the big guys like Lesnar and Goldberg. They knew their stuff though. They were fun to watch.
oh yeah, yeah. You know what's weird though is I heard that the Great Khali actually had like a wrestling school in India, and I'm like, man, I hope he's not the one actually teaching it,
Right. Yeah.
because
I
good
think he's just
lord,
going by his name. He must be going by his reputation.
that would be my guess. Is like he just like owns it or something. Because yeah,
Yeah.
he was awful in the ring.
Right. Oh. Wow. I mean, he's huge. He's got to be like 7 feet tall or something. I don't know.
There is another Indian guy named Jinder Mahal that he had a run with the championship for a while.
Okay. I mean, like, it makes sense for them to throw like an Indian person in there once in a while because they're so popular in India. Like, it probably makes the fans like show up and support, one of their own or whatever.
Yeah, and honestly, like nothing against that Jinder Mahal guy. Like I think I've heard that like most people say in real life he's like a good guy or whatever, and
Hmm.
he's in excellent shape. But like I kind of think if they weren't trying to expand the wrestling market in India, they would have never put the title on him because he's not
Oh,
that
they put a
exciting of
title
a guy.
on him?
Yeah, so for many like he had a run with like because they for a while they've had like two championship belts, one on Raw, one
Hmm.
on SmackDown. So it's not a special, but he had one of them. So he had a title run like probably 10 years ago at this point.
Hmm.
Um, but
So
yeah,
he
I
wasn't like anything special.
no, I do kind of feel like they put the title on him because they were trying to
Appeal to the market.
appeal to the Indian market. Yeah,
Um, okay, Ultimate Dragon. What about him?
I haven't. I don't think he wrestles anymore. I
He
haven't
was
seen
so
him.
cool. He was so cool.
A lot of those guys just had like cool masks and stuff, and
Yeah,
they
that was pretty much it.
they
Yeah,
just
it's
made
a
you
cool
wonder
name.
about them. Yeah, yeah, Ultimate
Yeah,
Dragon. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. WCW man, they had a lot of those masked guys, and some were from Japan and some were from Mexico. You know.
Makes sense though. Like the wrestling culture there is like very, it's big, right? Like I think America like really exported a lot of stuff to Japan, like baseball and wrestling for sure.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Because like I'm pretty sure wrestling's roots are from the American Carnival system.
So Mexico, like they have a deep rooted culture in wrestling too. Do you think they had it before we did, or like do you think it's from America? Because I don't know anything about that.
That's a good question. I'm actually not sure. It could have been a parallel thing too, where like they
Yeah, because
started
they're right next to each other. Yeah.
because yeah, you're right. I know like Lucha Libre in Mexico it has like a very storied history as well. So I don't
Mhm.
and I think it's you know stylistically is very different from American wrestling. So
Mhm. Mhm.
so yeah, that's a good question. I don't know um, if it's one of those things where like they started doing stuff too. Yeah, it's interesting.